Well, it's time to go ahead and repot my pretty little foxtail fern. It definitely needs it. The roots are growing way out of the base of the pot. Foxtail fern, cat's tail fern. Come join me. Hi, I'm Elise. I'm glad that you could stop by today. I've got a little decorator pot ready, half full of soil. If you're using decorator pots, especially the less expensive plastic ones like this is, make sure your drainage holes are there. Sometimes the drainage holes have not been punctured yet, so you want to make sure you have really good draining holes. And I have started filling it with some soil, and I pre-moistened the soil just a little bit. As you can see, it is definitely root bound. So there's a couple of options here, and it even had energy balls coming out. I can cut all these roots off, which I will probably have to do because I won't be able to get it out of the pot anyway. I can break them off or cut them off. Whenever you're repotting, you always want to check your drainage holes. Make sure you don't have any gnarly roots that might be holding up the plant from being slipped out. And the clipper goblin came and got my clippers. There we go. Now, I did alcohol my clippers. I know they look a little sad. I'm going to take them in and give them a really good thorough scrubbing. Okay. I also have some weeds in here I can take out now or after I pot it up. There's also some dead growth in here. When you're cutting your dead growth out, don't yank on it, don't pull it out. Just reach in and cut it out as far back into the plant as you can. Chances are it's going to put out new growth from that base. Now, sometimes they're so bad it just falls off in your hand and you don't have to worry about cutting it off. But this will neaten it up, give room for new shoots to grow, and just make the plant look better overall. And you can do this before you take it out of the pot or after you take it out of the pot and put it in your new pot. Up to you. Always check the center, because that's lots of times where your little brown growth will be, because actually that can be the oldest part of the plant in that center part. I think that's good enough for right now. Now, this is a couple of feet tall. The foxtail or cat's tail can get several feet tall and is big around. Oops. Camera really wanted to show you my tree up there. This is asparagus fern. It's not a true asparagus fern. It's in the Asparaceae family. And this is Densiflorus, the genus Densiflorus, also called Myersii. It's named after Mr. Myers, M-E-Y-E-R-S. Always reminds me of that little hot dog commercial we saw as children. M-E-Y-E-R-S. Okay. So I've got it trimmed up some, all the dead material out that I can see right now. Again, this is not a true fern. It's going to set flowers, it's going to set berries, and it's going to set seeds, all of which true ferns do not do. But it makes a beautiful, beautiful ornamental plant. And I've seen huge clumps, 3-4 feet tall and as big around. Really, really pretty. All right. So I've trimmed that up. I've trimmed off all the gnarly roots. So now I'm just going to go around, lightly press on it. And as I have said in other videos, if you have a decorator pot, ceramic pot, anything like that that you really can't press on and you can't gently pull your plant out, just sit it on the ground, put your water hose in, and slowly wash the soil away from the root base. That way you don't harm your plant. Now this is so tight, and I don't know if the camera is picking up how wrinkled and tight this is. Sometimes, if you have plastic pots like this, you end up cutting the pot off. So let's see if that will pull out gently. Nope, not even budging. Try again. A little harder. You can always put this down on the ground, and if you have good balance, you can use your foot. Just hold on for something for balance. I know people who use their knee. Okay, won't come out. Since this is a plastic pot, take your clippers, a knife, whatever you want to use, and go in, cut the pot off. If you're using a knife, make sure you watch out for your fingers, and it should just split right up. I'll use my clippers on that thicker edge. My goodness, look at those roots. I'm surprised the plant is doing anything. Cut it off the bottom. Again, if you're using a knife, be very, very careful. And there we go. My goodness, look at that. Just look at that. Now, these balls are energy balls. They hold nutrients and moisture for the plant. Do you think maybe this should have been repotted a while back? I can go in here and cut most of this off to facilitate getting it loose. I can also take a water hose and wash the soil out. I can put it in a pot of water and let it soak for a little while. Or I can just bite the dust here. And cut it loose some. As long as you have left some root material on the plant, you're fine. This is so root bound. Sometimes that happens. This is an aggressive rooting plant. In fact, all of the asparagus ferns are aggressive rooting plants. You really want to start out with bigger pots to begin with. Sometimes you just have to be brave. You can't leave the plant like this in this condition. Look at all those energy balls in there. I have 3 asparagus ferns in my garden. There are more varieties of asparagus ferns. Now, the asparagus that we eat is Asparagus officinalis. And if you have ever grown it or seen pictures of it growing, at one stage it does put out really pretty plumes of foliage that look like a fern. So the name, the word fern in the name, is just a descriptive word for the plant. Okay, wow. I don't know about you, but that tired me out. So here is one little individual plant, loads of roots, energy balls. I did not hurt it. Although it did look like I was being quite vicious with it. Now, I have a couple of options here. I can plant the one in here. Go ahead, backfill it with soil and let it come back up. Or I can go ahead and I am going to trim this one's roots just a little bit more. Again, I know, don't flinch, it's not going to hurt it. And plant it in the same pot and give myself a really thick looking plant to begin with. It's up to you. Depends upon how many pots you have, what your resources are, how much soil you have, how much space you have. Are you going to grow this inside? Or are you going to grow it outside? Or just basically, what do you want to do? One nice thing gardening, when we garden for ourselves, we can basically do what we want to within nature's guidelines. So that's how easy it is to repot. And I have to admit though, that was kind of tough pulling that apart. They all aren't that hard. Now, like I said, I can put both of these in. They still have room now to grow. All I have to do is come back and backfill. And that's going to give me a pretty pot. And it's going to fill in even more and make a nice full pot. They grow very well outside if you're in a tropical or subtropical environment. If you have them in pots outside, you can take them in when your weather gets cool. It's going to set little small flowers and it's very, very pretty. So, if it was you, would you put both in one pretty pot or would you separate it out? Well, since right now I'm a little short on potting soil, I'm going to go with the 2 pots in each one. They have room now. They aren't root bound. They have plenty of roots, energy balls left. So that's going to go just like that. I will just come back, backfill. Tuck it in. Make sure they're standing up nice and pretty in the way I want them to. Spread them apart if I need to. That's it. Asparagus fern. Densiflorus or Myersii, also known as cattails or foxtail. Puts out these beautiful plumes. It is not a trailing fern. It is not a true fern. And one other thing, if you see this listed in the lily family, according to the University of Florida, it is no longer in the lily family. It is in the Asparagaceae family. If you get a chance, watch my other video where I go into a little bit more detail on the basics of asparagus ferns. All right. Oh, we have an audience up there. Now, whenever a bird starts doing that, it could be a couple of reasons. They might not like me down here. I may be in his area. He may be calling for a mate. I don't know. But sometimes they do that when there's a predator around, a snake, a cat, something like that. So when they start all at once chirping really, really loud, I always take a little look around me to see if perhaps I have a snake at my feet. Doesn't hurt. Now he flew off and he quit chirping. So who knows why they do that? I am not a bird expert. But like I said, if they start chirping all at once, I always look around to see if there's any predators around, particularly snakes. Very pretty plant, very easy to grow. This is going to go into the shade for right now. I will water it very well. I'm not going to put it in my plant spa because I don't want that decorator pot sitting in an Epsom salts bath. But I will come back and give it a little Epsom salts, just gently pour a solution on top. That will help with the transplant shock. Epsom salts is full of magnesium. It helps the plant over the stress. Don't be afraid. Sometimes you have to be brutal when you're transplanting your pots if they're really overgrown. I hope you can visit again, and until then, have a fantastic day.